programming minds. In this video, we are going to learn implementation of queue using C++ programming language. So what is queue? Queue is a linear data structure and it follows first in first out, that is FIFO, and last in last out, that is LILO method. Okay, so we are going to see following 5 operations by using C++ programming language. So Enqueue operation is used to add new element in a queue. Dequeue operation is used to remove element from a queue. IsEmpty operation is used to check if queue is empty or not. IsFull operation is used to check if queue is full or not. Pick operation is used to check or access element at the front. So if you want to learn more about queue, it's a theory, so you can watch the previous video, and in this video we are going to do the implementation. Okay, so let's get started by adding libraries. #include iostream using namespace standard. Let's define main function int main and return 0, give the semicolon. So we will be using object oriented programming for the implementation of queue. So let's define class. Okay, so in class, in private section, let's define one integer array, because we will be using array for the implementation of queue. So it will contain 5 elements. Let's define front and rear variable, because we need to access the front and rear for the enqueue and dequeue operations. So in public section, let's use constructor of queue class. So if you want to learn more about constructor and destructor, you can watch the C++ tutorial series from Programming Minds YouTube channel. So in constructor, let's define front as -1 and rear as -1, because indexing starts from 0. So if there are no elements in queue, we will define the front and rear as -1. And by using for loop, let's create the empty queue. So for int I is equal to 0, I will be less than 5, and I plus plus. So let's define array I is equal to 0. So we have created the empty queue. Okay, we need to give. Okay, so when we create the object of queue class, this the -1 value gets assigned to front, -1 value gets assigned to rear, and one queue, empty queue, will get created. Now let's define isEmpty function. So we will use boolean data type for it, because it will return true or false. So isEmpty, and in this function we will check if front is equal to -1 and rear is equal to -1, then we will return true. Okay, because it will be queue will be empty. Else we will return false. Okay, now let's create isFull function. Here we will use boolean data type isFull, and in this function we are going to check if rear is equal to 4, then return true. Because we have limit of 5 elements in this queue, and indexing starts from 0, so last element index will be 4, else we will return false. Return false. Okay, now let's define enqueue operation. So void, this operation will be used to add the element in the queue. So enqueue, so in this function we will pass the integer value, because we have created the integer array for implementation of queue. So let's pass val. So in that function we will first check if queue is full, then we will print message cout queue is full, cannot add new element. Okay, let's use until. Yeah, now we will check another condition, else if queue is empty. So okay, so in this condition we are going to increase the value of rear by 1 and front by 1. Okay, so it will become 0, because when queue is empty, rear will be -1 and front will be -1. So after that we will assign the value into that queue by using is equal to operator. So now let's assign the value. Okay, so array rear is equal to that value which we are passing here in that function, and we will print message cout element added at the end of queue. Okay, let's use endlf to give some space, and let's use else, and here we will increase the value of. So in this condition we will increase the value of rear. Okay, and we will assign value to rear, because we are going to add element at end. So rear, and rear will be that value, and we will, so here we can say front, because there would be no element in the array, so or queue, so we can say it as a front. It's okay if you can do it as a rear, but it will be very clear. Okay, so we will assign the value at rear, and we will be printing message element added at the end of queue. Okay, now let's use handle here. Yeah, so this is the implementation of enqueue operation. Now let's implement the dequeue operation. Void dequeue, doesn't need to pass anything. So in this operation we are going to check if is empty, and if this is true Then we will print message queue is already empty. We cannot remove anything. Let's use endl here. Okay. And in second condition, let's use else if. Here we will check if first and last or the front and rear is equal to 0 and rear is equal to 0, then we will delete element array front is equal to 0, and we will change the value of front as -1 and the value of rear as -1, and we will print message remove element from the queue. Then we will use handle here. Okay, so let's do it like this. Okay, so if there are only one element in the queue, then we need to use this method. Okay, and if there are more elements, then we are going to delete that element array. First we are removing element from first because as per the queue method, which element comes first goes first. So now let's make it 0. So we are using front variable here. Okay, then we will print message as cout element removed from front, and then we will increase the value of front by 1, because let's assume we have removed element from the 0th position, then there will be no element to track or access at the front, so we will increase the value of front by 1. So yeah, this is the implementation of dequeue operation. Now let's implement display queue operation. Okay, let's use void display queue. Okay, and in this operation we are going to check if queue is empty or not. So if is empty, and if this is true, we are going to print message only as queue is empty, nothing to print. Okay, let's use handle here. And in else condition, if there are any element in queue, then first we will print message cout elements of the queue are. Then we are going to use for loop. So for int I is equal to, let's give it as a rear, because we are going to traverse from rear to front. It will look as real world queue. So and I will be more than or equal to 0, because we need to traverse the till the last element of that queue, and I minus minus. Okay, now let's use cout method, and let's print elements of queue. Let's use some space here, it will look better. And no need to use handle here, let's use handle here, cout handle. Okay, so this is the implementation of display queue operation. We have not implemented the pick operation, so let's use void pick. And in this operation we will check condition if is empty, then we will print message cout queue is empty, nothing to access. Okay, now let's use handle here. Yeah, else we will print cout element at front of queue. Let's use and let's print element at front. Okay, and use handle here. Okay, so this is the whole implementation of queue using C++ object oriented programming language. Now let's go to the main function and let's define object. What is the error? Let's check error. Yeah, here we are getting error. Okay, yeah, now let's go to the main function. And in main function we will define object of queue class queue queue. Okay, and let's use display queue function first, and it will print message as there are no element in the queue. Let's use handle here. Okay, then we will enqueue the 5 elements in queue. Now let's use queue dot enqueue. Okay, let's pass 10, copy paste it more 4 times. Okay, okay. Now let's pass 20 here, then pass 30, then pass 40 and 50. Okay, copy that handle here, it will look better. Okay, now we will define dequeue operation here. Queue dot dequeue, and we are going to remove the one element from front, and we will use the can use it here. Let's use it here, display queue function. Then we are going to pick the element from queue. Queue dot pick. Okay, use handler. Okay, so this is the implementation of queue data structure using C++ programming language. Now let's click on local Windows debugger, and let's run the program and check if it's working well. Program is running successfully, and there is no compilation error. Okay, so first we have printed message as queue is empty, nothing to print. because we are using display queue method here. And okay, then we have added 5 elements in queue by using element by using enqueue method, and we are printing the elements from queue here. Okay, and then we have used the dequeue operation to remove the element from queue. So this is we are getting false statement. Let's check what we have implemented wrongly. So we have done the mistake in isEmpty operation, where we are checking if front is equal to -1, and we need to use and here we have used or. And our second mistake is we have done in the dequeue operation. Here also we need to check it as and. Okay, so we have done it as or. So yeah, let's run the program again and check if it's working well. Yeah, now it's working well, and there is no compilation error also. So we have done it well. Now let's check element removed from front. We are using dequeue operation here, and then we are printing the elements like 50, 40, 30, 20 and 0. So we have removed element from front. Okay, and by using peek operation we are accessing the element from front position. So this is the front position now, because we have removed 10 and we got 20 at the front position. Okay, so you can learn the debugging also in that way. Okay, so this was the successful implementation of queue using C++ programming language. We have seen the different operations by using C++ programming language. Okay, so if you like this video, subscribe to the Programming Minds YouTube channel. Thank you.